Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we look at people who are at the top, the best in their fields, and we believe they are somehow built differently, like they have something special in their DNA. But let me ask you this. What if being the best at anything was not about your talent, your background, or your money, but about your willingness to start? Yes, just start, even when it's scary, even when no one believes in you. Being the best does not begin with perfection. It begins with a choice, the choice to not be average, the choice to not waste one more day waiting for the right time. Because there is no right time. There is only right now. The journey to being the best begins the moment you decide to start. That might sound too simple, but it's not. Most people never even begin. They dream, they talk, they wish, they plan, but they never take the first step. Why? Because starting is terrifying. It means stepping into something unfamiliar. It means risking failure. It means people might laugh, or worse, not care at all. But none of that matters. What matters is this: if you do not start, you will always be stuck where you are. And if you want a different life, you have to do something different. Starting is the bravest thing you can do. And no, you don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing, willing to fall flat on your face, willing to look stupid, willing to learn as you go. You might say, but I don't know how. That's okay. No one knows how in the beginning. The people who are the best today were once just like you, nervous, unsure, insecure. What changed everything was that they started anyway. Starting teaches you more than thinking ever will. It gives you clarity, it gives you direction, it shows you your weaknesses, but it also introduces you to your strengths. And once you start, you're already ahead of the version of you that stayed frozen in fear. Now here's the part people don't like to hear. Your first step won't be magical. In fact, it might be horrible. You might fail. You might embarrass yourself. People might not cheer. In fact, some might mock you, but that is where the real separation happens, because the best people, they don't stop, they start ugly, and they keep going. They learn, adjust, cry a little, get up again. Over and over. While others are waiting for perfect conditions, they are building themselves through imperfect action. Every expert was once a beginner who chose to act. That's it. There's no mystery, no secret door, no shortcut. The only way to be the best is to become someone who is not afraid to begin. Begin with what you have. Begin with fear in your stomach and doubt in your heart. Begin when no one is clapping. Begin even when your voice shakes. Start when the world says you're not good enough. Start when you feel alone. Start when your bank account is empty and your energy is low. Because one step forward, even a tiny one, is worth more than 10 steps you only imagined. People wait for confidence to start. But confidence is built after you begin, not before. It grows with each step. The first is the hardest. The second still hurts. But the third, that's when something shifts. That's when your brain realizes, wait, maybe I can do this. The best at anything are not fearless. They are not perfect. They are not lucky. They are simply people who dared to begin when everything inside them said, don't. And then they didn't stop. They stayed through the mess, through the silence, through the doubt, and one day they woke up with something powerful. Momentum. Momentum is a gift you give yourself by showing up every day, even when you feel like you're going nowhere. Because one day you'll look back and see how far you've come, and all of it, started the moment you decided to begin. Consistency will always beat talent when talent refuses to show up. It sounds unfair, but it is reality. There are people out there with incredible gifts, natural abilities, raw potential that could shake the world, but they never use it. They show up once in a while when they feel like it, when the mood is right, when conditions are perfect. And then there are others, Maybe not as naturally talented, not as polished, but they are there every day. Quietly, persistently, while the talented ones wait for inspiration, the consistent ones build discipline. And over time, discipline always outruns talent. Talent is a spark. Consistency is the firewood. Without fuel, the spark dies. And you see it everywhere, in classrooms, in offices, on social media. People who started with all the hype, all the praise, slowly vanish because they could not keep showing up. But the ones who were underestimated, the ones who were told they were not enough, they kept going. They kept practicing, they kept learning, and somewhere along the way, they surpassed everyone who was once ahead of them. The world respects results, not potential, and results come from repetition, not from random bursts of brilliance. You can have the most beautiful voice in the world, but if you never practice, if you never perform, no one will ever hear it. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you never apply your knowledge, it means nothing. What matters is not how gifted you are, but how committed you are to growth, and growth is not a one-time event. It is built through ordinary days, the days when you do not feel like trying, the days when progress feels invisible, the days when quitting looks easier. That is where consistency wins. It is not loud, it does not need attention, it just shows up again and again. Until it becomes your identity, until one day people say, "You're so lucky," without realizing the hours you put in behind closed doors. Consistency is unglamorous, it is routine, it is repetitive, but that is why it works, because while others are chasing new hacks, you are mastering the basics. And mastery comes from doing the same thing 1,000 times, with focus, with intention, with heart. The biggest lie people believe is that you need to feel motivated to act. You do not. You need to act despite your feelings. Consistency teaches you that your emotions do not run your life, your values do. You work not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. That kind of commitment changes you. It makes you reliable, it makes you steady. It makes you someone people trust, including yourself. Because when you show up every day, you start building a track record with yourself. You start proving that you can depend on your own effort. That even on the bad days, even in the storms, you kept your word. That kind of self-respect is powerful. It fuels confidence that does not come from external praise, but from internal integrity. And this is the thing people forget: consistency compounds. What looks like nothing in the beginning becomes unstoppable over time. A page a day becomes a book. A workout a day becomes strength. A moment of courage each day becomes transformation, but none of it happens without showing up. Not once, not twice, but again and again and again, until one day talent turns around and realizes it has been left behind by someone who simply refused to quit. Your pain is not your weakness, it is your superpower. This is one of the hardest things to believe when you are in the middle of it. When your chest is heavy and your mind is exhausted, it feels like the end. It feels like something is being taken away from you. But what if pain is not here to break you, but to build you into someone stronger, someone softer, someone more awake? We live in a world that tells us to hide our pain, to numb it, to pretend we are okay when we are not. But healing does not begin in pretending. It begins in accepting that pain is a part of the process. Pain teaches you what peace really means. It shows you how precious your joy is. It sharpens your empathy. You cannot understand someone else's silence until you have sat in your own. You cannot feel someone else's struggle unless you have tasted your own. The most compassionate people are not the ones who have had perfect lives. They are the ones who have felt deeply, fallen badly, and gotten back up slowly. They are the ones who know what it's like to hurt and still choose kindness anyway. The truth is, everyone carries pain. Some just hide it better than others, but hiding it does not heal it. Carrying it alone does not make you strong. What makes you strong is what you choose to do with your pain. Do you let it harden you or shape you? Do you bury it or use it as fuel? Do you allow it to define you, or do you allow it to teach you? There is power in owning your pain. When you stop running from it, it loses its control over you. You begin to see it not as the end of your story, but as the part that changed everything. Some of the most beautiful chapters in life are written in the ink of suffering, because that's where resilience is born. That's where courage wakes up. That's where your voice gets louder, not because you are shouting, but because you are finally speaking from a place that is real. Your pain is not a punishment. It is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that you have lived, that you have loved, that you are human. And humanity is not clean. It is messy. It is fragile. It is breathtaking. The cracks in your soul are not flaws. They are the places where the light gets in. Every scar you carry is a story of survival. Every tear you cried watered the strength you walk in today. It is not about glorifying pain. It is about not wasting it. You went through something, it hurt, it changed you. Now let it empower you. Let it remind you that you have already survived worse. Let it give you a deeper purpose. Let it slow you down enough to feel, to connect, to live with meaning. People who have been through pain don't chase surface level things anymore. They want depth, they want truth, they want to know that their life matters, not just to others, but to themselves. Pain has a way of burning away everything that is fake. It reveals who you are underneath the masks. And if you let it, it will build a version of you that is unshakable, not because you never cry, not because you never fall apart, but because you know how to rebuild, because you have done it before, because now you carry a kind of quiet power that no one can take away. It came at a cost, yes, but it gave you wisdom, it gave you clarity, it gave you you. Stop waiting for motivation, build habits instead. Motivation is unreliable, it is emotional, it comes and goes like the weather. Some days it is there, pushing you forward, making everything feel possible. But on most days it disappears. And when it disappears, if you do not have habits, you stop too. You sit there waiting for that spark to return, not realizing that you have handed over control of your life to something that cannot be trusted. People often say, "I just do not feel like it today." But the ones who succeed are not the ones who always feel like it. They are the ones who act whether they feel like it or not. Habits are steady. They do not depend on mood or energy or inspiration. They depend on decision. You decide what matters to you, and then you build your day around it. You repeat the action, even when it feels small, even when the results are invisible. Because that repetition shapes your identity, the person you become is built on what you do daily, not occasionally. A 5-minute effort done every day will take you further than a 5-hour burst done once in a while. The truth is, we give motivation too much power. We wait for it like it's some magical force that will lift us out of our struggle. But action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you start doing even the smallest thing, your brain starts to shift. It gets focused, it feels progress, and that progress becomes its own kind of fuel. But you have to begin before you feel ready. You have to move before you feel strong. You have to choose discipline over mood. This is where habits come in. Habits remove the drama. They remove the endless debate in your mind. Should I do it now? Should I skip today? Am I too tired? A habit answers those questions for you. It says, we do this because this is who we are. It gives you structure. And structure is freedom. It frees you from overthinking, from procrastinating, from spiraling into guilt and regret. Building habits does not mean being perfect. It means being committed. It means showing up again after you miss a day. It means keeping your promises to yourself, and the more you keep them, the more your self-respect grows. You stop seeing yourself as someone who quits. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That shift changes how you speak to yourself. It changes what you believe you can do, and once that belief changes, everything changes. It is not about doing everything at once. It is about doing one thing with consistency. Wake up 10 minutes earlier. Write one page. Drink one glass of water. Meditate for 3 minutes. Small, manageable actions that are repeated will do more for your life than any grand goal that stays in your head. Goals are important, but they mean nothing without systems, and habits are your systems. They are the foundation. They are what carry you through the low days. There will be mornings when you wake up exhausted, evenings when you feel drained, moments when your mind tries to convince you to skip it, just this once, and that is when habits save you, because they are stronger than your mood. They are not glamorous, they do not make headlines, but they make you unstoppable. People will look at your progress and ask for your secret, and it will be something so simple, they will not believe it. You showed up, you kept doing the thing, you didn't wait to feel ready, you just did the work, over and over. Quietly, relentlessly, and that is what turned the tide. The best people never avoid failure, they outgrow it. This is the part no one wants to hear. Everyone wants success, but almost no one wants the weight that comes before it. The embarrassment, the rejection, the disappointment, but failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. It is the messy, uncomfortable, often humiliating training ground for growth. The people who rise to the top do not get there because they never fail. They get there because they kept going long after they failed. They learned, they adjusted, they became better. Failure is not a sign that you are not good enough. It is a sign that you are trying, that you are in the game, that you have the courage to move. The ones who never fail are usually the ones who never begin. The best people in any field, artists, leaders, athletes, creators, all have a history of falling hard. What makes them different is not their talent, but their ability to use failure as fuel. They do not let it define them. They let it refine them. It hurts to fail. That sting is real. It bruises the ego. It shakes the confidence. It makes you question everything, but that pain, if you let it, becomes your best teacher. It exposes your weaknesses. It shows you what needs to change. It humbles you, and humility is what creates real growth, because it opens you up to feedback. It allows you to become someone who listens, who adapts, who evolves. The best people are not afraid to look foolish. They are not obsessed with looking perfect. They are focused on getting better, and to get better, you have to be willing to be bad at something first. You have to risk falling on your face. You have to take the shot even when you know you might miss. Growth does not happen in the comfort zone. It happens in the try, again zone, in the place where most people give up. In the space between I failed and I'll try again. People will laugh, they will judge, they will assume you are wasting your time. But the best people do not perform for approval. They build themselves in silence. They use failure as feedback. Not as a label, not as a dead end. Every failed attempt becomes data. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every wrong turn becomes part of the map. Resilience is not about being tough all the time. It is about being willing to feel the loss, face the discomfort, and still move forward. That willingness is what makes the best people unshakable. They know that failure is temporary, but quitting makes it permanent. So they keep showing up. They keep risking failure because they know that nothing worth having comes without it. If you avoid failure at all costs, you avoid growth. You stay in the safe lane. You never stretch. You never discover what you are truly capable of. But if you face failure, if you learn how to carry it without letting it crush you, you become dangerous in the best way. You stop fearing what might go wrong. You start focusing on what you can learn. You build wisdom. You build character. You build strength. The path to excellence is full of failed drafts. missed goals, wrong turns, and public mistakes. But every stumble sharpens you. Every fall forces you to rise stronger. The best people are not born that way. They are built out of setbacks, out of second chances, out of silent nights full of doubt. But they kept moving. They outgrew the failure that once stopped them. They used it to build a foundation that could not be shaken. And that is what turned them into someone others look up to. Comparison kills progress. Focus on your own lane. It sounds simple, but it is one of the hardest things to do in a world that constantly shows you everyone else's highlight reel. You open your phone and see people your age doing things you wish you could, building businesses, traveling the world, hitting milestones you haven't even dared to dream of yet. And in seconds, all your progress feels small, all your wins feel slow, but comparison is a lie. It takes your attention away from what matters, your own growth, your own journey, your own purpose. You were not meant to live someone else's timeline. You were not built to chase someone else's definition of success. The minute you start measuring your life against someone else's, you stop honoring your own. You forget where you started. You forget how far you have come. You lose sight of the fact that your path was never supposed to look like theirs in the first place. Each person is carrying a story you cannot see, a struggle you will never fully understand, and yet here you are, comparing your behind the scenes to their best moments. Progress is personal. It cannot be copied. It is built on your pace, your decisions, your battles. When you focus on your own lane, you find clarity. You stop chasing trends and start building truth. You stop reacting to what others are doing and start creating from who you are. And that is where real confidence is born, not from being ahead of others, but from being in alignment with yourself. Comparison makes you feel like you are behind, but behind what? Behind who? There is no single race happening. There is only your life, unfolding in the way it's meant to. The time you spend watching others could be the time you spend building yourself. And building takes time. Real, lasting growth takes patience, setbacks, learning, unlearning, starting over. None of that looks impressive on the surface, but it is what transforms you from the inside. The people you compare yourself to, they have insecurities too. They have days where they feel like giving up. They question themselves just like you do. The difference is, maybe they just do not show it. And maybe you should not either, not because it's shameful to struggle, but because your energy is better spent on healing than performing. Focus is your greatest asset. It is what turns ordinary into extraordinary, and you cannot focus when your eyes are always wandering. Looking at other people's progress takes you away from your own. It distracts you from what actually matters. You get caught in a loop of not enough, thinking, not fast enough, not good enough, not successful enough. But enough for what? The truth is, you are not late, you are not lost, you are just growing in a different direction. Some people bloom early, others bloom late, but blooming late does not mean blooming less. It means you are taking the time to grow deeper roots. To build a foundation that lasts. When you stay in your lane, you start to see the value in your own story. You find joy in small wins, you find strength in quiet effort, and you find peace not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer trying to be someone else. There is freedom in focus, there is clarity in commitment. The more you look within, the less you feel the need to compete. And when you stop competing, you start creating, you start leading, you start growing in ways comparison could never teach you. You begin to own your path, flaws and all, and in that ownership you discover something rare, a life that feels like yours, not a copy of someone else's. Success whispers to those who can walk alone. It does not shout in crowded rooms or make grand entrances. It finds the quiet ones, the consistent ones, the ones who do not need an audience to keep going. Walking alone is not romantic. It is not pretty. It is not some dramatic scene with music playing in the background. It is hard, it is silent. It is full of moments where you question everything, especially yourself, but it is also where real strength is born. Because when you are walking alone, the only thing carrying you forward is your own decision to keep moving. Most people will not understand your vision. They are not supposed to. It was given to you, not them. And if you keep needing their validation, you will keep slowing down every time they hesitate. You will keep explaining yourself to people who are not even listening. You will keep shrinking your dream to fit their comfort zone. But success does not live in the comfort zone. It lives on the other side of silence, on the edge of uncertainty, and often at the end of a road that only you can walk. There is a kind of sacredness in walking alone. It teaches you who you are without the noise, without the distractions, without the influence of other people's opinions. When you walk alone, you start listening to your own voice. You start trusting your own instincts, and even though it is lonely, it is also honest. You cannot fake it when there is no one watching. You cannot pretend to be someone you are not. Walking alone demands truth, and that truth becomes your compass. It is not about being antisocial or cutting people off. It is about learning to stand on your own feet. It is about being willing to do the work even when there is no applause. It is about knowing your worth even when no one notices. The ones who succeed are not always the most talented or the most popular. They are the ones who kept walking long after the crowd stopped cheering. They are the ones who learn to clap for themselves in empty rooms. Walking alone is not a punishment. It is a preparation. It makes you resilient. It sharpens your focus. It separates what you want from what the world wants for you. And in that space you grow. You grow not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Because there are some things you can only learn in solitude. Discipline, self-belief, clarity, these things are not taught in groups. They are discovered in the stillness of your own effort. You begin to notice how much time people waste trying to be seen, trying to fit in, trying to impress. And you start doing the opposite. You stop showing off. You start showing up. You stop chasing approval. You start chasing purpose. You stop begging for support. You start building it within yourself, and that kind of power cannot be taken away. Because it was not given by the world, it was earned in silence. The journey of walking alone also teaches you patience. You learn that everything does not have to happen now, that progress is not always visible, that just because you are alone does not mean you are lost. It means you are committed. It means you are willing to take the long road, the real road, not the shortcut. And in the process, you become someone others look to, not because you followed the crowd, but because you dared to walk without one. You stop needing to be understood and start choosing to be whole. You stop needing company just to feel valuable and start realizing your value was never dependent on who stood beside you. You walk alone not because you have to, but because that is where the real work is done. That is where success begins to whisper. Not with noise, not with praise, but with quiet, consistent reminders that you are becoming exactly who you are meant to be. To be the best, become your own biggest believer. It sounds cliché, but the truth is, if you do not believe in yourself, no one else truly will. People are quick to doubt, quick to question, quick to criticize, and most of the time they do it without understanding what you are building. If you rely on others to constantly tell you that you can do it, you will collapse the moment they stop. Being your own biggest believer means holding on to your vision, even when everything around you says it is impossible. Self-belief is not arrogance. It is not pretending that you are better than everyone. It is the quiet knowing that you are capable, even when you are still learning. It is the voice inside that says keep going, not because it is easy, but because it is worth it. That kind of belief is not built in one day. It is built through repetition, through action, through choosing yourself when you feel like the world has not. There will be seasons where no one claps for you, where your work goes unnoticed, where your effort feels invisible. And in those moments it is tempting to give up, to assume you are wasting your time, but that is where self-belief becomes everything. It keeps you grounded, it keeps you focused, it reminds you that your value is not dependent on external validation. You are not building for applause. You are building because you know you are meant for more. Being your own biggest believer means refusing to shrink. It means walking into rooms that make you nervous and reminding yourself that you belong there. It means starting projects without waiting for permission. It means being okay with standing alone for a while because you trust the direction you are moving in. That kind of belief gives you an edge. It makes you resilient. It allows you to take risks that others avoid. It makes you unstoppable, not because you do not fall, but because you do not stay down. Believing in yourself does not mean you never doubt. It means you do not let that doubt drive your decisions. You feel the fear, you hear the noise, but you keep showing up. You keep trying again, you keep pushing forward even when progress is slow, and slowly your belief becomes your identity. It shapes how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you approach challenges. You begin to act like the person you want to become, not the person your past tells you that you are. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are the ones who have learned to cheer for themselves when no one else did. They have looked in the mirror on the worst days and still found a reason to try. They did not wait to feel confident. They acted their way into confidence. They practiced courage until it became natural, and they kept their promises to themselves, no matter how small. To be the best, you cannot outsource your belief. It has to come from within. You have to become the kind of person who backs themselves fully, who knows that setbacks are not the end, who sees failure as a step, not a finish line. You have to become the kind of person who does not need a crowd to feel worthy, who understands that belief is a habit, and like any habit, it must be practiced. The moment you believe in your own potential, your actions begin to change. You stop waiting to be chosen. You choose yourself. You stop overthinking every move. You start trusting your gut. You stop living in the shadow of other people's expectations. You start building a life that reflects your own. Belief turns intentions into action. It turns doubt into discipline. It turns dreams into blueprints. You are the only one who can give yourself that kind of power, and once you do, you begin to live in a way that is grounded, fearless, and free.